Need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them at 315-724-6767. Home and hospital medical supplies. We make life easier.
After 32 years as a Mason, Steve retired right before the holidays, but that career took a toll on his body, and he never slept well. He said he was going to get a new bed, but he and his wife, Angela, never made it in before the holidays. They came into Mattress Express in New Hartford on Commercial Drive next to Red Lobster and selected a Q9 King number bed, flex head. Steve liked his side firm. He was a 40. We elevated his head and feet and put the massage on high. He said he hadn't felt that comfort in years. Angela, who'd been sleeping in a separate bed because Bill couldn't sleep through the night, liked it softer. We set hers on 32, elevated her head a little less, her feet a little higher, and put the massage on low. They said it was perfect. They were thrilled to find out we held over our promotion of $1,000 prepaid Visa card or a 75-inch flat screen TV. Steve got the TV. It was affordable because they qualified and signed up for the 5 years, no interest, no money down. Make that trip today or call 1-800-NEW-BED.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you'd better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today's the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Today on Hey Culligan, reverse to reduce. Here's Bob.
Hey Culligan, I love fresh water, but I got plastic bottles coming out.
Whoa, Bob, you are not kidding about the bottles. But did you know Culligan's reverse osmosis and always-on drinking water systems provide fresh, clean, delicious drinking water and help reduce the equivalent of over 15 billion plastic bottles from landfills worldwide?
Holy, fresh, environmentally friendly drinking water. Am I right?
Right, Bob. And we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Make a New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Help protect your identity and finances with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. LifeLock detects identity threats you may miss on your own. And if you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
.621, and I don't know if you saw the Golden Globes last night, any of that. There was a comedian on there who was the host who I got to tell you something, I think set records last night for the most bombs ever.
Really?
And what I mean by a bomb is a joke that bombs. Like nothing worked. And even when he did tell a joke, it was like, whoa, can't believe we went down the road with that one. Like you got a group of, in fact, I have to tell you something. What was really kind of cool is, your kids. We live around here, and we live, and you go to school, and you come home, and everything is what it is. And then your kids will go off to college, and they're like, "Yeah, you're not gonna believe this, but I go to school with this kid whose mother is a producer in Hollywood, big time producer." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Well, sure enough, there she was at the Golden Globes, sitting in one of the front tables. Not in the front, but on the first section. It was pretty cool. So we spent the night watching to see if we could see my daughter's roommate.
And did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
I'm like,
great.
darn it all. I thought she was a pathological liar all this time. I was completely convinced. It's like, yeah, right.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, for her, right? I mean, passing around the champagne, watching the craziness, watching those jokes go and just hit the floor and nobody laughed.
And who was the comedian?
Jared Carmichael.
Okay, so here is this the
Do
deal?
you know Jared Carmichael? I've never heard of him before.
By name, I don't know him. If I saw him, maybe I would. But is this the thing now? Like, we are so woke that even when we have a comedian come in, he's not funny?
By design?
Yeah, because
well, remember,
typical topics that would draw a laugh are taboo.
You have a lot of older Hollywood people in there too, so I mean somebody's going to laugh at some of this stuff. Or usually when one of those comedians will do something that's like, "Wow, that went a little too far," you'll get a few murmurs. This was just like people by midway through the show last night, people were just like talking amongst themselves.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was terrible. A weird opening of the show. He started the show. This is just the beginning of a 7-minute long monologue that went on way too long. He got into the diversity issue with the Golden Globes, last year's cancellation, how he wondered if he should take the hosting job, but he did. Here's audio.
Settle, people in the back. Let's be a little quiet here. Everybody, let's be a little quiet here. Everyone, let's be...
I mean, it just went on and on. This was 7 minutes long. The opening, his monologue was 7 minutes long.
Did he go with that really
It was just that style. And
Oh,
it was,
my gosh.
So he had a joke that he told later in the show, and it just hit the ground. And it was a Whitney Houston joke. And this was where I'm like, God, in Hollywood 2023, I'm not sure you want to get down with something like this. Here we go.
We are pressed for time, but they wanted me to shout out the venue that we're in. So we are here live from the hotel that killed Whitney Houston, the Beverly Hilton. You guys, so that's very exciting.
You got murmuring, you got a couple of claps, you got like, whoa.
Yeah, and as you said, there's just people just talking amongst themselves, not even paying attention.
I thought, I got to tell you something. That White Lotus, I love that series, and I have really kind of taken to the actress Jennifer Coolidge. I think she is stinking funny. You see her in the holiday commercials. She was doing all the. She was at the piano, right? She kind of rambles a little bit, and she goes from topic to topic. But I think that's her thing. That's her shtick. So here was one of her speeches as she kind of took off.
Hi. I just had a complete anxiety attack. I'm not doing this. I just can't do it. And but you know what? I'm feeling very good right now because I haven't screwed up yet. And no, I haven't. And are you ready for the nominees? Yeah.
She won an award and gave a pretty funny speech. That, of course, not one of them. But you know, it just went on and on and on. But I think there were some big wins last night, and it was a show worth watching. It was live. It was more exciting than the football game the night before, right?
Yeah, right.
So there you go. There you go. Although I do think that Eddie Murphy giving advice to up-and-comers was pretty good. You know, Eddie Murphy is a pro. The guy knows how to make people laugh, how to get in, get out, and go on his way. And he made this short and sweet.
I want to let you know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can follow to achieve success, prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind. And I followed it my whole career. Just do these 3 things. Pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith's wife's name
out of your blanking mouth. That was funny. And then he just walked off. That's what you do. You go out and tell a joke, zing a little bit, and walk, man.
The only thing that maybe the ending to that could have been better is if Will Smith was there and if he said that and then walked over, slapped him, and walked off the stage.
That's right. He should have slapped somebody. There's no doubt. Today is, and I wish, and I don't think we have him on today. Ben Simons. I know this week we want to talk milk, but today is the day we should have done it. Today is National Milk Day.
Oh, today?
It is.
Well, you should have told me yesterday.
I didn't know yesterday.
Oh.
I never tell you. You'll never hear out of my mouth, tomorrow is National Milk Day. Have you ever heard me say that? It's always today. So you're right. We should start looking yesterday. But this week will be National Milk Week. So Ben wants to talk about why milk prices are a problem for farmers, and they really are. Comment here this morning from Rob, if I can get to your comment, on the Biden documents. So a lot of talk about that yesterday. Rob says, here's the problem with the document issues. The Biden documents were found on November 2nd. The Biden DOJ assigned a special prosecutor for Trump documents on November 18th. Why not a special prosecutor for Biden? Well, he kind of does have. They assigned a
U.S. attorney from Chicago.
A U.S. attorney from Chicago to this. That's been done, Rob. He says it's a two-tiered justice system treating one way, one the other. I don't think you can say that yet. First of all, this just started on the Biden side, and I get it. Everybody treats Trump, woe is me, poor Donald Trump. But Trump, listen, I don't care where you are, whether you love him or you hate him, he loves bringing it on. He loves resisting. It's what he does. So when they say, give us these documents, Trump says, no, these I declassified. These are my documents. I can keep them. And this went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And here's the other part of this. Trump's biggest problem is not the Democrats. Trump's biggest problem right now is Republicans. In fact, it took someone inside Mar-a-Lago to tip off the feds to say, hey, there are still classified documents here. Somebody tipped off the DOJ. And that came from within Trump's circle. So before you can fight off how, you're being mistreated, you probably ought to take care of your own house at this point, literally in this case. But, I said this yesterday. The difference in this situation is they turned the documents over. I don't buy that they discovered them the day before Election Day. I don't buy it. My guess is they probably had them a month before, and they're like, all right, let's not make it look too suspicious, so we'll do it the day before. We'll turn them over the day before. And, I wouldn't even be a bit surprised if it was the type of thing where, you watch these movies. I'm suspicious of everybody. You watch these movies, and they'll be like, the president, it's a movie that involves the Oval Office. And the president will be like, I don't want to hear it. I can't hear that. Because once I hear it, I'm culpable. I don't want to hear it. I'm leaving the room. You guys do your dirty business without me hearing it. I mean, it's they don't say that, but that's exactly what they're saying. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the documents were found and they even didn't tell Biden until afterwards in order to protect him. Remember, it's an attorney that supposedly found the documents, or someone found them and brought them to the attorney. So that Biden is not culpable, the smart thing to do would be don't even tell him until the day before the midterms, when I don't trust any of them, to be honest with you. But I do think there are those there are those that are smarter than others. That right?
Yeah.
And those that aren't smarter than others and get caught doing things, and those that don't get caught. And I'm not saying Biden is cunning, but I'll bet you people around him are pretty sharp.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well.
And their role is to protect. And believe me, Trump had people around him as well to protect him.
I'm interested in the point you made about not even telling Biden. I wonder if they have. Has he addressed this at all?
Oh, he knows now.
Well,
because it's out. But my point is, by the second when they turned them over, so you find the documents in September, and you're like, what are we going to do with this? And I also am suspicious of this, to say, you know what, it wouldn't be a bad idea to turn these documents over to show you the difference. This is the way the Biden administration handles it. This is the way the Trump administration fought the DOJ. They fought, said, we're not going to give up these documents. No, there are no documents here, when it turns out there were. That's where the raid came from. And I wouldn't even be a bit surprised if they're happy that this came forward so that they can show the difference between the two administrations. But my point is, don't be so non-suspicious to think that they wouldn't find them in September. Keep it from the president until November 2nd to say, hey, we found these documents in your office. We're now going to turn them over and do the right thing, so that Biden is not culpable.
So, I mean, to the point about him addressing it, has he addressed it in regard to how they got into his office? Like, he took them, right? Because are you allowed to just take them, right? Whether you're at a meeting or the White House or, I don't know, the Pentagon. Like, how did they get to his office? We don't know.
Well, I think they were cleaning the office out. They were closing the office down.
How did the documents get there?
That's a good question.
Right.
I mean, I
6
think
years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was.
We have a serious problem if classified documents are landing in a closet in an office that is the office of anybody, right?
Yeah, no,
They shouldn't have been in Obama's office. They shouldn't have been in Biden's office in a closet. They shouldn't be in Trump's office at Mar-a-Lago. I think we have a real classified document problem. Rob says, no, the special prosecutor doesn't answer to the AG, where an assistant AG in Chicago does. Okay, fair enough. That's what makes this wrong. I disagree, because Biden is cooperating. So as long as they look into it, it's a Trump-appointed attorney, and I'm okay with it because they're cooperating. And there's 10, supposedly, if that's true, there are 10 documents. Now, maybe that's not true either. That's why you need somebody to look into it. But I don't think you need a big investigation if there's a cooperation going on. It's different than this would have turned out the same way with Trump had he just turned everything over.
I wonder if we would have even known if he just turned everything over when they started
I don't
asking.
think it would have. I don't believe it would have. Knowing the way things are treated with Trump, I do think that things are treated differently. It probably would have turned into some sort of a story, but it wouldn't have involved a raid. Right. You wouldn't need a raid if you say, hey, come on in and look. We don't think there's anything there, but check it out. I mean, that's the difference here. I'm sorry, but that's the difference. And if and obviously Republicans are making this out to be this big thing where it's a double standard, and yeah, it is. It's the double standard though is Trump and Biden. Trump fought and tried to say, I want these documents, I'm keeping them, and Biden isn't doing that.
And why did he want to keep them?
I don't know. So, obviously people are going to have their different opinions, but it'll be interesting if there's something here. I'll be very, very surprised if you find there's something here. I do think there is something here when it comes to the documents just laying around willy-nilly in a closet, whether that be Trump, whether it be Biden or any previous president.
Right.
Why do we classify things if they're just going to show up in some office somewhere where a maid could come across them? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
We have several calls on this. Davey answers, and it's just nobody. Right, Davey? You're back to the lines are fixed. I was told they were being fixed yesterday. I think they're fixed, Davey.
It's a silent treatment.
I think they're
giving him.
Micron is in the news, and
for not a good reason.
I got to tell you something. We asked this question last week when the story came out that Micron was cutting 10% of its workforce. And the story then was, no need to worry, it will not have any effect on what is being invested in Syracuse. Now the headline on the Syracuse Post-Standard, Micron's sales are falling and it's cutting jobs. Should we be worried? Not quite 3 months after announcing plans to build a $100 billion computer chip plant near Syracuse, Micron sales are falling, and the company is cutting 10% of its workforce, or nearly 4,000 employees. Listen, they're talking about adding some 40,000 employees, like doubling their workforce, with this plant in Syracuse. how can you do that if you're cutting back? Well, the cutback is only temporary. We aren't going to open for another 3 years. I mean, I don't know. So Micron says, no, don't be worried. The numbers may look scary, but don't be worried. The company reported revenues last quarter of $4.1 billion, a stunning decline of 39% from the previous quarter, and 47% down from the same period a year ago. That's not good. The company lost $195 million in the quarter, compared with profits of $1.5 billion the previous quarter and $2.3 billion in the same period a quarter year ago. But the computer chip memory production is a long game. They're saying the current pain should be short-lived, and it'll pick right back up, and away we go. At the moment, the demand is flattened for new computers, cars, smartphones, household appliances, and scores of other devices that rely on chips. I do agree with this. That industry is about to explode. And it may be 5 years down the road, but it is about to explode. We're going to have the number of electric cars is not going to go down in the next decade.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
no question.
However, how much does the technology change between now and then? This is a fast-moving technology, so it'll be interesting. But wouldn't you be more comfortable if the announcement from Micron was they're hiring an additional 10%?
Right. Not
sales are up. Right. Not that they're down. And part of being down is what's going on in China. There's such a COVID has hit China tremendously hard this year, and has shut a lot of stuff down. But that's also a part of where the opportunity comes into play, right?
Oh, right. No, absolutely. Because, we're manufacturing here.
They're manufacturing all of a sudden. We're manufacturing all of a sudden because their manufacturing is slowing down. So one would hope that would be a benefit for us. Because even though that is happening in the Syracuse area, I do truly believe that it's something that is going to there'll be a lot of spillage, if you will. There'll be a lot of investment in the region here in upstate New York because of what's happening with them.
Yes, and the only thing on the jobs, I think you say like 40,000. I don't know that they plan to hire more than 10,000. I think when they say the impact is 40, 50, 60,000 jobs, it's the associated or spin-off businesses, not necessarily Micron.
Okay. I mentioned today, did I tell you today is National Milk Day? It is. Yeah.
I should have had Ben on for this. You know, and I should have actually went and looked it up because somebody stopped me in the hall to tell me, you know what yesterday was? Did we talk about this here? National Houseplant?
For a moment, we did. National Houseplant. Every day is a day, right? Every day is a day.
Look, every day is unfortunately several days. And, look, this waters it down. It makes it so stupid. National Houseplant Appreciation Day?
The Pamela Anderson personal documentary came out yesterday. It's called Pamela, A Love Story. Did anybody see the Pamela and Tommy documentary? Well, it wasn't a documentary. It was like a series. Right. Davey's shaking his head. You saw it, didn't you?
Oh, you saw it,
you did.
Yeah.
You dirty dog. You saw it. I thought that was a really good series.
It was.
Yeah. I felt bad for her. I never realized that I would feel bad for her. You remember, she was the Tool Time girl. Pamela Anderson was the most beautiful woman on the planet. And
then she went to Baywatch and played C.J. Parker.
You're right. You're right, Davey. You know her bio. And then things started getting crazy. She started doing the implants and the surgeries. And all of a sudden, she didn't look like a real woman anymore. I mean, if you see her early on when she was, before all the surgeries, what did she need to do anything to herself for?
She was 10 in my book.
10.
Very, very sexy.
Davey, that book's a good book. Your book has credibility. Davey gives her a 10 back then.
So did they get into this? Like what happened? And then they talk about how the surgeries made her look less attractive?
They got into the whole no. They got into the whole in the series that Davey watched. They got into the tape. So I always kind of thought, the sex tape that got out. I always kind of thought that she was okay with that tape being out.
But she wasn't.
She was not. And it's hard to understand, right? Because everybody looked at it like, well, you're in Playboy. You're showing yourself off. And she said, but that's different. This was something that is a personal moment. And, by the way, it's full sexual activity as opposed to taking photos of just herself. And it at least in that series, it showed that she was unbelievably distraught, and it broke up her marriage with Tommy Lee, who was nuts.
How did it get out? How did it leak? Was it him?
It's all part of the whole thing. And what was it? Somebody got a hold. Somebody stole. There was a robbery at their house, and somebody broke into the safe and got the tape.
Wow.
And they were, and I think they were just like video to roll type people. They rented videos at their store, and all of a sudden they found this tape, and they're like, man, we could make a ton of money. And that was the launching. That was the launching of online video. Before that, you would never even think about clicking a button on your computer and playing a movie or a video. And they sold it. You could buy it. And it started out where you'd buy it and they would ship it to you. So you'd have a physical tape shipped to you. And then somebody came up with the idea, I think we could actually stream this. You could download it. It'll take you a long time to get it, but you could download it. And it's quite an interesting series to watch. Did anybody play the lottery last night?
No, I'm in
I
protest.
Did you win, Davey? Did you win?
I didn't get nothing.
Yeah, he didn't get nothing.
You think he'd be here right now if he won?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, nobody can take a double negative and put it in bold font like Davey, right? and I appreciate that, man.
What did I say?
I'm just saying, I appreciate you didn't get nothing.
Gotcha.
Right? You didn't get nothing. And I feel the same way, man. I didn't either. You want to know if anybody did? No. There was not a winner last night.
Great.
It has gone to $1,350 million.
So let me ask you.
$1,350 million.
I thought about this before, and I'd love, I guess, some discussion on this. What are your thoughts on me, anybody, reading the news story? It's almost like free promotion for them, isn't it? To constantly do the Powerball.
Yeah, well, I think it's a public interest story. Doing it every day, in a lot of places will do that. But, like on TV at night, I'm pretty sure WUTR, they'll run the live stream where they actually draw the numbers. I think they get paid to do that. They don't do that for free. But we'll read it in the news. But I think when your lottery jackpot goes, just to give you this, put this in a little bit of perspective. Tonight is Wednesday night. The Powerball is $360 million.
Who cares? The other one's over $1 billion.
The other one, take that $360 million and add $1 billion to it. That's the Mega Millions.
Yeah.
So to me, Friday night's drawing is when it'll go again. It's $1.35 billion. That's a news story to me.
So
I think it's pretty good.
I was coming at it from that approach where, there are times when it is significant or it is newsworthy because of how large it grows. But I feel like it's becoming common now where they're like, oh, it's the 6th largest or the 5th largest, or now, for the 3rd time, now the 5th time it's approaching $1 billion, or it's going to be $1 billion. At some point, doesn't it lose its, quote, newsworthiness?
No, never, Jeff, never. You have a chance to win. You have a chance to win. Really, it's gonna start to get up to that point again where your cash winnings would be $1 billion.
Let me ask you this, though.
That's just crazy.
So, what if I came in, for only $1, there's a scratch off down the road. You can win $500,000.
Listen,
and every day it was like, oh, you could win $10,000.
I understand.
40 times your money.
I don't think you should be reading it every day. And there's going to come a certain point where, there probably was a point where $1 million was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And now, the Powerball tonight is $360 million. So I'm sure at some point 20 years ago, that was an incredible number, and we were all making a big deal out of it. But right now, the big number is in the billions, so let's have some fun with it. And your chance of winning it is just ridiculously almost non-existent. I mean, and I got to tell you something. I'm nothing but a loser anyway. I don't win anything. I can't win a Little League 50-50. I mean, I've never won the Comets thing. I play it all the time. Every time we go to the game, we always contribute. It goes to a great cause. I played the Root Farm. I already had my bags packed. It was only a 1 in 500 chance to win. I'm like, we're going to win this thing. I didn't win that. We don't win anything. I can flip a coin with my wife 10 times in a row. She'll beat me every time. It's disgusting. Who's online, whatever we have here, Davey?
Ann.
I know Ann wants to call in. Ann is livid. And now there's an interesting story out there, and I think this would change, the only thing that would change my mind on gas. So yesterday during the state of the state, and we'll speak with Marianne Buttonshaw coming up and get her reaction on that. Bail reform, there was talk about that yesterday. In fact, Governor Hochul admitted that bail reform we need reform of the reform. She finally admitted that. Senator Joe Griffo is on this morning, and we'll speak with others as well on the issue of the state of the state. But there's a story that came out yesterday that grabbed my attention. And the report is that gas stoves are dangerous to your health. Have you ever heard anything about this? This came out yesterday.
No, but let me say this. Burning wood, a campfire, you could argue because there's toxins in the smoke and in things being burned.
A December 22 study, and this is just coming out now, and I think the reason it's coming out is because the governor's trying to say we're going to get rid of gas stoves. But a December 22 study, December 22, so this is a brand new study, in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, found that indoor gas stove usage is associated with an increased risk of current asthma among children. The study found that almost 13% of current childhood asthma in the U.S. is attributed to gas stove use. Now, I have never heard anything. I've always believed that a gas fire, natural gas especially, is one of the cleanest forms of heat or cooking your food. But now they're trying to say it's not, and it's causing asthma in children. Ann is livid. You're Italian, right, Ann?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Can you tell?
Actually, I believe Ann is one of the few people in Rome. She's actually 102% Italian.
You betcha.
I don't know how you get there, but she got there. So, I mean, listen, don't you agree? I don't like cooking on an electric stove. The way to cook is you cook on a gas stove. Do you agree?
I actually, when I bought my house, had an electric stove, got rid of it.
Me too.
I wanted to put a fireplace in this year. Couldn't afford gas, so I put an electric one in. Did my homework. Too expensive, number one.
The electric.
They want everybody to go electric. What are you going to do with the grid? Is the grid going to be able to hold it? What do you do with neighborhoods that have everything underground? You know what it's going to cost to rip everything out?
Let me tell you.
This is true.
Now listen, it's all going to happen. We're going to go electric. It's going to happen, and it's coming.
It's going to happen if people don't start standing up and saying, "I've had enough of the government telling me what to do with my life."
Listen, it's going to happen because as technology grows, so will the world and the industry. We will grow with it. The problem that we're dealing with now is New York is on this kick of being first for everything, and we're pushing everything too quickly. The technology, we're not quite there as of yet. But beyond that, I want to tell you a little story. I lived in the Valley my wife and I lived in Ilion. Right after we got married, we moved to Ilion. And we had a really nice home. We loved it there, and we stayed there for 19 years or something like that. And you know what one of the beautiful things of living in Ilion is that you had cheap electric and cheap gas. But let's focus on the cheap.
Solvay's like that too.
Cheap electric. It was a co-op grid, so it's owned locally. They didn't sell out the national grid. So, but I will tell you this: I could run lights from here to the moon in the summertime, and our bill would be $110, $112. It was unbelievable, and with all the electric that I was running in that house. But when it became a certain date in, I don't know, late October, early November, the village changed the rates. The rates went up because once you reached a certain usage, the rates jacked up. And why was that? Because the grid in Ilion could not handle everyone heating their homes with electric. So they once you reached a certain usage, they jacked the rate up so it was no longer beneficial to run electric heat. Now, that's a place where electric was huge in Ilion. And but even they said, we're not ready. We can't handle it. The grid is not big enough to handle it. That's really where we are as a society right now. In the state,
that's
we're not.
Exactly my point.
We can't handle it.
You can't handle it. They just want to switch everything. It sounds good in theory.
Yes.
Logically, it's a mess. Of course, hence the term Governor Hot Mess. You know.
But
she's a mess. And did you get my message about the documents?
I hadn't had a chance to read that. It was quite long, and I'm on the air.
Sergeant Schultz, Biden, knows nothing.
I
He doesn't
know
how they
nothing.
got there. They mysteriously got there. They've been there all this time in an unlocked area. He was vice president, had no right to any classified documents leaving that building.
Well, we don't.
And they're saying, well, there was just a few of them.
Yeah.
Listen, it's just like having a drink. Well, I had just a couple. It's the first time I drove drunk. I killed somebody, but it was the first time. Come on. In the Ukraine,
here's the thing.
threatened the Ukraine not to give them money, prid pro quo.
Here's the thing. We don't know what the documents are yet. We don't know if it's. I guess it's possible he shouldn't have had those documents. But I do think we have an issue here. This is the second president we're dealing with now that is just willy-nilly when it comes to classified documents. We've got a problem here.
Nobody should leave with any documents.
I agree.
That's my personal opinion.
But let this play out. We're going to find out information, and of course now with Republicans in control of the House, you're definitely going to find out because they're going to investigate. So just wait, and we'll see where this all goes. You're throwing too many.
I totally agree with you.
You're throwing
that
too many.
They knew about this before the election.
I think
they're going to bury this like they buried Hunter Biden's laptop and everything else.
Well, that's not being buried either. But yeah,
if it's wrong for one, it's wrong for everybody. I don't care who it is. But I do have to disagree with you. You did win the lottery, Bill. I'm your friend. How much more do you want?
You're right. I mean,
That's
I got to
worth
tell
billions.
you, I think not just a couple billion. You're billions. You're in the billions. There's
there
no
you
doubt
go.
about it.
Have a good day,
And you know,
guys.
why? I mean, the friendship is valued, but what is feared is the opposite of the friendship. I mean, you do not want to be on Ann Span's side, because that is what is truly feared. Okay,
You're
Ann.
remembering that story I told you about the family.
Hey, all I can tell you is Jim Croce originally wrote the song. It was "You don't want to mess with Ann." It wasn't Jim. Don't mess whatever that song was. Okay, thank you.
Have a good day, guys.
You do the same.
Bye.
Who's on one, Davey? I don't know what we have here.
Chuck.
Hello, Mr. Lester. Good morning.
You were talking about the electric rates in Ilion in the wintertime. The way that used to be was that
I'm glad you called in on this.
What's that?
I'm glad you called in on this because you would know the numbers on this.
Well, I don't. The bottom line was that in the wintertime, people with electric heat were being subsidized by residents that didn't use electric heat, and what that meant was very simply that whenever we went over the allotment of the low-cost power, then the whole village divided up that extra cost.
Then
the PSC said, wait a minute, that's not fair. So now if you use over a certain amount of power during what they consider the winter months,
Yeah.
The individual customer will pay the higher rate. The rest of the village will just be paying based on what they use.
So it really wasn't.
That makes it a little bit. That makes it obviously fair for people that don't use electric heat, and the people that do use the power are the ones that are paying for it.
So
it's got nothing to do with the supply chain or the grid or anything like that.
So I stand corrected. It sounded pretty good, though, didn't it? My logic?
No, hey, listen, it's an easy thing to not understand. The only reason why I do is because I was there on the municipal board. My dad was on the Light Commission for years. So, I've had this, awareness for quite a while because electric heat sounds good, but it's the most inefficient way to heat. When we sit on natural gas right under our feet and we're not going to want to use it, that's foolish.
And I do think
anyway,
that...
Bill, we didn't call each other names, and the other day you said I called you a name. I did not. I like to be a little sarcastic and a little snarky.
All right.
And anybody that says the January 6th is a bipartisan thing with Adam Kissinger and Liz Cheney, I've got some investment opportunities. Please send me cash.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Not going to argue with you. All right.
See you later.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck.
Go Bills.
Thank you. Go Bills. I wouldn't argue because you can never hear me when I try to argue with him, when I try to talk with him. But I'll say this. It is unbelievable how much the people in Ilion, and I believe Mohawk and Frankfort down in the valley are the same way. And there are a few other communities here in the region. How much money is saved on electric? It's unbelievable by not going through the big national grid. It's incredible.
So on a separate issue that Ann called about, I just wanted to make one point because we still don't know this yet. With the classified documents, everyone keeps saying, and they said this about Trump as well, they shouldn't leave the White House. They shouldn't leave the Pentagon.
We don't know that. We do not know that.
Yeah, I mean, most things are in digital form now. So
all I can say is we know very little about this, and we really don't know that much about the Trump documents either right now. There's been stuff that's leaked. How do you believe that? I mean, until the investigation is done and there's a report on it, and you trust the people who are investigating, we really won't end up knowing anything.
Wait, there are leaks about what is contained in the classified documents that nobody's supposed to know about?
We're getting leaks on what the Trump documents are. But yesterday there were leaks on what the Biden documents are. But I don't think we know anything yet. I got a break, though. We'll talk more about it. Marianne Buttonshaw is coming up. WIBX Utica Rome. It is 7 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. A lot of planes are grounded across America. I'm Dave Anthony. It's not because of weather this time. The FAA is having computer issues, and FlightAware reports there are more than 1,100 flight delays to or from or within the U.S., a number that's been rising fast in the past hour. The outage affects pilots uploading flight plans, and the FAA says it's up to airlines to determine if they still want to fly. And United has just announced a ground stop on all its flights until 10 a.m. Eastern. That's the next 3 hours. Republicans had a lot of questions about the classified documents found at a Washington think tank where Joe Biden had an office after he was vice president before he ran for president.
People know I take classified documents and classified information seriously.
And the president said at a summit in Mexico, he was surprised they were found in November and they were turned over to archives, and he's cooperating.
But in light of former President Trump and the probe of documents found at his estate, Speaker Kevin McCarthy tells Fox's Hannity the president's behaving like a hypocrite.
They think the law doesn't apply to them. They think they write their own. And that's what infuriates the American public.
House Republicans are asking U.S. Intel for a damage assessment on those documents.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. It's up to at least 17 deaths now in the recent storms that have hit California after heavy rain caused a lot of flooding and mudslides, and more rain is forecast in the coming days. They handed out the Golden Globes last night. Fox's Todd Pyro on the winners last night, and they were also in the movies and on television.
The Banshees of Inisherin takes home 3 awards, including for Best Musical Comedy. That's the most of any film nominated. Steven Spielberg winning the award for Best Director for The Fabelmans. Film also landing the award for Best Drama. And when it comes to the small screen, Abbott Elementary was the big winner.
America's listening to Fox News.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out.
And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Good morning. We have mostly cloudy skies, and we are at 15 degrees here this morning. WIBX News Time is 7:03. This news update is brought to you by My Carl's Epic January clearance sale. Save up to 70% on furniture and mattresses, closeouts, one-of-a-kinds, and more. Shop My Carl's today in the New Hartford Shopping Center or Destiny, USA. Governor Kathy Hochul has used her State of the State speech to address some of the important issues that she believes New Yorkers are dealing with on a daily basis. She discussed a variety of topics yesterday, including increasing public safety and dealing with the state's housing crisis. She also revealed how her administration is going to work to make life better for state residents. The governor unveiling a plan that she believes will strengthen the state's mental health care system. She also pledged the state won't raise income taxes this year. The Better Business Bureau has a warning for fans of the Buffalo Bills. They have a home playoff game coming up, of course, this weekend on Sunday afternoon, and the BBB has issued a warning for fans to look out for ticket scams. The agency says scammers will be hard at work trying to take advantage of those who want to attend the game at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, but there are things that you can do to avoid getting ripped off. They include being wary of pop-up ads that offer discounted rates for tickets, since they're often a scam, and doing research on the vendor that they're looking to purchase the tickets from. Sunday's game between the Bills and Dolphins is set for 1 p.m. Popular comedian Dane Cook is going to be bringing his brand new tour to Central New York later this year. Cook set to take the stage at the Turning Stone Resort Casino's Event Center in Verona on April 16th. That is a Sunday. In addition to his career as a comedian, Cook has also been in several movies like Good Luck Chuck, My Best Friend's Girl, and Employee of the Month. Seats for the show go on sale this Friday. Another Mega Millions drawing has come and gone without a jackpot winner, and that means the game's top prize has now grown again. The jackpot that's going to be up for grabs Friday will be more than $1.3 billion. There has not been a Mega Millions jackpot winner since October. Meanwhile, the jackpot for Powerball tonight is $360 million. As Jackie Gleason would say, a mere bag of shells. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica. Stay tuned. Coming up, we'll talk with Assemblywoman Marianne Buttonshaw on the latest on the state of the state and get her reaction on the governor's comments yesterday. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies today with a high reaching 33 degrees. For Thursday, we start with some rain showers possible. Could see a rain-snow mix later in the day. Tomorrow's high 43. A chance of snow showers, then changing to rain showers on Friday. We'll have a high again in the mid-40s. Saturday, partly sunny with a high of 27. Sunny again on Sunday and a high in the low 30s. And looking ahead to next week, Bill, we do warm it back up into the 40s.
Love it.
Right now we have partly cloudy skies, 14 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:06.
From the IBEW Local 43 Sports Desk, here we go. I want your take on this. Shortstop Carlos Correa is signing with the Minnesota Twins.
Bye.
Look, you're okay with it?
I object to the 10, 11, 13. How many years were they going to give him?
The deal for the Twins, they did a 6-year, $200 million deal.
That's tolerable.
Yeah,
I feel like He's 28 or 29 years old. You're going to sign a guy for a dozen years?
Yeah.
Do we not learn from Pujols or A-Rod or you name the star?
Bobby Bonilla.
Well, I mean, thanks, Smitty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, this comes after deals were nixed with the Giants and the Mets. Both of them backed away. But the Twins said, let's get what we can get here.
And I'll just say this again. You know, it's always a rush to get it out instead of a rush to get it right or a focus to get it right. I can't tell you. I saw more than a half a dozen headlines over the last couple of weeks basically saying Carlos Correa is a Met. He signed with the Mets. He's got the deal. And then all of a sudden it wasn't.
I read a story over the weekend that talked about how, this has got to stop. These agents leaking stuff. They're leaking here. They're leaking there. You don't know what's true. It's becoming a real problem.
Because they're worried about the ankle. That's why.
Yeah. The Devils came back. Late surge in the second period to take down the Carolina Hurricanes 5-3 in Raleigh. The Rangers defeated the Stars in a shootout. And that's interesting. The Stars, Sean Bright and Elmont and Dallas beat the Islanders 2-1. So there you go. That's NHL hockey. Knicks host the Pacers tonight. The Comets host the Cleveland Monsters. It'll be at the Adirondack Bank Center tonight. And Virginia Tech plays at Syracuse tonight. That game has been moved to the Yes Network, where you can watch it if you want to watch that tonight. Am I correct, Davey?
Right.
That is correct. Okay, there you have it. That's sports. Coming up, we'll speak with Marianne Buttonshaw in a few minutes. Dr. Kent Hall is on as well this morning, and D.A. Scott McNamara. There's a ton going on here. Put that together with Habaika's free money question of the day. And did we have a winner yesterday? Was there a winner? Oh, we did not have a winner. It was close.
Yes.
We should.
Right.
I thought we were going to have a winner yesterday. But we didn't. But we'll throw another question at you today, give you a chance to win from Habaika and WIBX at 7:35 this morning.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties. We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties. FoundationHOC.org. We're your community foundation, working to build a vibrant region with opportunity for all.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel is all conversation-based, so it gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
You'll really see a difference in how you can speak and how conversational you can be in just a few weeks.
Babbel isn't just lessons. You can listen to podcasts, play games, watch videos. You can even take live online classes with a language teacher. There are so many ways to learn with Babbel.
The lessons online and in the app make it easy to learn from pretty much anywhere.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver." Unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Warner Sales and Service, building relationships, building trust.
Hi, Eric from Warner's here. Winter is coming, and you know better than anyone how important your Bobcat equipment is during this season. We're here to help keep it going during the winter months. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, our service department has you covered. Or maybe it's time to upgrade that older machine to something new. Stop in and see one of our Bobcat specialists. Because we focus our attention only on the Bobcat products, we can help you find just the right machine for the task at hand. So whether it's service or sales or even rentals, stop by our place and let's see if we can solve some of your winter problems. Warner Sales and Service, just off Route 365 between Rome and Verona.
Building relationships, building trust. Warner Sales and Service. Warner's, where quality still counts. At Warner's.
Well, River Hills Properties knows that 2023 could be the year that you're thinking about selling your home, and you'll be looking to form a strategy with a real estate agency. So which one will you choose? I would recommend River Hills Properties. My wife and I use them. It was all the difference in the world. It's the services they provide, the extra services they provide. It's the extra things they do. It's the fact that your listing agent begins working with you from day one and doesn't stop till it's all said and done. And that is a fact. And that could include the book, 40 to 100 pages, professionally bound. It becomes the manual for the home. Everything is in there. Wouldn't you want to know if you go to a home and you're looking at the property and they put on an addition, wouldn't you want to know the contractor? Wouldn't you want to know how much was invested in that? Wouldn't you want to know that it was built really well, that it matches the home, it matches the quality of the home? It's little things like that you ask those questions. Well, if you have a book that has everything in there, it just helps you form a decision on making an offer, and it helps the process move along. That's a benefit for the buyer and the seller. It's just one of the many things they do at River Hills. And knowing that your listing agent is there every time the house is shown, that's a big deal. Now, I'll tell you this. You may be told, well, it's not a great idea to have your listing agent there. It's better to have the potential buyer and the other real estate agent walk through on their own without anybody there. Okay. But if you're selling a $600,000 home, well, that's valuable enough to make sure that we'll make sure your listing agent is there. That's what agencies will tell you. But if you're only a $200,000 house, that's not a big deal. You don't need the agent there. River Hills looks at it completely differently. You could be selling a double wide for $35,000, and your listing agent will be there on your behalf. You get all the services. That's the River Hills way. They don't wait for it to be $1 million property before they give you all the services. The services kick in the day you decide to use River Hills. That's the River Hills difference. Why wouldn't you list with River Hills? My wife and I did. We sold our home in under a week. Barneville, Little Falls, Utica, and all of upstate New York. It's River Hills Properties, LLC.com, 315-896-1009, River Hills Properties.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Also, checking last night, two of Jimmy Fallon's. He was talking about it again yesterday. Jimmy will be in studio on the 17th of February. Two of his shows have sold out. A third show is almost there, and there are so there's one 9:15 show, I think Saturday night, where there are under 45 seats that are still available. So if you want to go to this thing, Davey, come on, man. You want to go to this thing, look it up, fatcatscomedyclub.com, and get your tickets. He'll be in studio coming up on the 17th during the morning, and then he does his national show from here from noon till 3.
When he talked about it yesterday, was it just to shout out Davey and talk about how they're good buddies?
He stopped talking about IBX. He stopped talking about me and you. It's all about Davey. I don't know, Davey, you've convinced him that you run the entire operation up here. Yeah.
No, I don't.
And even at one point, I think yesterday, Jimmy Fallon yesterday was like, and I was up there and it was really good, and they weren't really taking care of me, and I said, Davey, take care of this, and Davey went in and told his subordinate, Karen Carey, you better take care of this right now, and she did immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yes, good job, Smitty.
I don't have
Keeping
no
him in
say of
line.
that.
I don't know. That's what Jimmy was saying yesterday. He tells everybody what to do. He makes it happen up here. Go to fatcatscomedyclub.com, KATZ, and there is a show this weekend. Pat DeBeer will be in studio, in fact, Friday morning. Love Pat DeBeer. Hilarious. He does, he's a stand-up comic, but also delves into a little bit of ventriloquist action.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is pretty cool. So we'll speak with him a little later on. In studio right now is Marianne Buttonshawn, Assemblywoman. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
What did you think of the state of the state?
Well, there were some good points that I'm glad that clearly we started with public safety.
She seems to recognize that there needs to be reform of bail reform.
Yes. However, if it is going to be included in the budget, that's where this mess started in 2019.
Right.
So this is something that is a policy issue. So that is something that I will continue to push for to ensure that remains as a policy issue.
So people understand what you're really talking about is the problem that comes into play when they throw these policy issues into the budget, and you don't agree with the policy issue and you want to vote against it. But if you vote against it, you've just taken the entire budget from Griffiths and flushed it down the toilet. I mean, that's the problem.
Exactly.
Right?
It was education.
Right, or education, right. And you get forced to have to accept these policy issues because you know there's certain things you have to support in terms of the budget.
So I think that, again, very important, funding for prosecutors, funding for the GIVE program, sustainability for the state police, many positive points when we're talking about public safety.
Yeah.
But the concerns is how will this be proposed and included, to your point.
Is she ready to get rid of gas stoves? I mean, do you cook with gas?
I don't.
You're at electric.
Well, where we are, we have no gas, yes.
Oh, you don't have.
So I don't have the I could have.
You'd have kerosene. You could have kerosene or propane. Is that what you cook with?
No, cook with electric.
With electric, right. Okay. I hate cooking with electric, personally. Do you love it?
Well, I never had a difference. Growing up, it was electric.
You always had electric,
grew up in
right?
Whitesboro, so I can't say that I've had the opportunity, but I have been told that it definitely is a much even. And
it's funny because they'll say let's just think about it. Find me a kitchen that runs a restaurant, and you show me where in that restaurant there's an electric stove. Anywhere
that's a good point,
in America, right?
I think that's a good point.
Go in every restaurant. You find me their electric stove. They just don't exist, right? You got to cook with gas. So, but I have a feeling we're not going to be having that opportunity. Like I have a dryer. It's a gas dryer. I specifically special ordered a gas dryer because I feel that it heats better. And it's more economical than running an electric dryer. We have a gas stove. I have a feeling we're going to lose those opportunities.
Well, and I think that's the other point when you talk about what was brought forward with a concern. The environment is important to all of us. I mean,
Sure.
You have children, you have a little guy, and I know that we want to ensure the environment's safe, but at the same token, it has to be identifiably that it is feasible.
Yeah.
So to your point, when we talk about, or she spoke about bringing on 800,000 homes online, Well, how are we going to do that? Every builder that I've talked to, whether it's a commercial or residential, is the concerns that you just addressed.
Yeah.
Is that number one, can we get the parts? Number two, how are we going to be able to afford it? Who
so
could
she's
afford
talking
that
about
home?
building how many homes?
800,000 is what she addressed yesterday.
And they'll be electric, green homes, right? Perfectly.
Well, and again, I think that personal choice and individuals that look at this aspect makes a lot of sense. But when it comes to a mandate that, as I've stated, contractors have advised me they cannot afford to do this and ensure that the home is affordable to someone else.
Well, certainly the cost of materials today is way up there. I just feel like the school bus issue. Have you dug into that?
Yes.
We do not have the infrastructure to do this. And think of all the number of school districts that have purchased new buses, and those buses that are still they're still in the fleet. I mean, to gradually move electric buses in does make sense, but to draw the line and say this is, I almost feel like we're trying to compete with the rest of the world to say, or the rest of the country to say we're the first to do it.
And you're 100% right. I mean, I've talked to superintendents, I've talked to experts, and identifiably so. If they're buying them now so that they don't have to worry about the electric, I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Right,
but they feel
right.
they're being forced, to
Yeah.
your point, that's what they have to do.
Right. Well, there's a line, right? What's the year they want to have all these
30 or 35, something like that.
I don't think it's 35. I think it's maybe 2030, which is not that far away.
And I think
so
yep.
we don't have the ability to charge all of these buses. We haven't thought about field trips. We haven't thought about sports transportation. We haven't thought about how are you going to pay for all of these. This seems to be something that is a pipe dream.
Yes, and as it was approached and brought to us, it was talked about. They use the word goal, and I say we all have a lot of goals, but I think that more importantly, if you want to talk about a goal versus a mandate, those are two different words,
right?
And those are words that cannot be interchangeable. So goals make sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, Jeff, you brought it up earlier when you talked about the person that wants to be first or the person that wants to be right. And I'm kind of paraphrasing what you said, but let's get it out there because I want to be first. But that's not the way to do it. Let's do it right. And right means that everything has been checked, researched, and determined what is best for the community.
I think we saw it a little bit with bail reform, where we've got to go back now. And is this what can happen with the push to go electric, all electric? We're going to set this goal. We're going to penalize people who do things, who don't install a certain type of a stove, or everybody's got to have an electric vehicle. And then a year later, we're going to go, you know what? We were wrong. We need to back this off a little bit. So what happens then? But right, it's important to get it right and not have to redo everything every time you set a policy or a goal or a mandate.
Anything else that concerns you on the state of the state?
Local government mandates that were brought forward, and that relates to the housing, saying you will have this many. I think that, again, each community has a zoning and planning committee for the sole purpose to meet the reflections of a strategic plan that a town or a city has put forward. And those plans, to Jeff's point, have been in place possibly a decade.
Right.
And they're looking at wherever you live, you went and bought a home there for a purpose because you liked everything that was included within it. And now we're telling you, nope, this is what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And how many times do we hear from local government, whether it's the county exec or our town supervisors or mayors? That's an unfunded mandate.
Yeah.
And it's not that they don't want to be a part of the solution, because that's what they're doing, but it's just more of the mandates. I've heard from small businesses already on the minimum wage increases.
So she wants the minimum wage to be regularly increased based on inflation.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. I have some numbers here. On the school bus, must start buying zero-emission buses by 2027 and complete your fleet by 2035. So it begins in 27 and you have to be complete by 35. I don't know that we're going to be, the infrastructure is going to be complete by 2035. That's the problem.
Well, and I think more importantly is where are those buses going to come from?
Right.
And
right.
where are you going to, and how can you afford them? And if you're going to look at, met with the superintendents, they talk about the tax cap not constantly to say, well, what did you just do to us? How much more is that bus going to cost? I believe it's 3 times the cost of the current. So it's looking at it in so many different aspects of the planning that needs to be done.
Okay. Anything else you want to hit on?
I think that, again, it's just more important. Mental health is a positive approach because it's something serious, but bringing in 1,000 beds, I'm not sure, are we talking 1,000 beds upstate, which is more importantly in our needs, and ensuring that mental health includes our children, not just, so it's a 247-page document. I haven't read it all, I will admit.
Any talk on SUNY Poly, Marcy?
I met yesterday, talked with the chancellor, talked clearly with the governor's office.
I saw an interview he did on Spectrum, and there was no mention of Marcy whatsoever. So you wonder.
But again, there's going to be discussion from us, and it's very important. My discussion starts off immediately with the governor's office yesterday, with the chancellor, that this is, again, a priority that needs to be included. I talked to various individuals again that represent that industry that are very concerned. So ensuring that their input is there also.
All right. Mary Ann Button-Sean, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day. Good luck out there. It's going to be a crazy year. Crazy year in politics here locally. There's a lot of elections, a lot of offices up for elections. So it'll be interesting. On the line right now, thank you, Mary Ann. On the line right now he is the chief, I should say, what is
chief medical officer?
Chief medical officer at MVHS, Dr. Kent Hall. On the line after all of these months that we've been talking, you would think I'd have that ingrained in my head, but apparently not. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. Actually, it's Chief Physician Executive.
That's exactly what it is. Thank you.
I was going to say, I think we still got it wrong. Sorry about that, Doc.
I was pretty sure that wasn't CEO. All right, Doc, good morning. There's talk about the variants of COVID, the new variant that is out there, how it is just sweeping through. And, in fact, the latest warning has been if you haven't gotten COVID yet, be prepared. This latest variant is going after you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so that's certainly what the data would lead us to conclude, which is that this is a much more transmissible and much better at evading the immune system than the prior variants, and certainly than the original SARS-CoV-2 virus was. So, it is important, and that's translating into more people being infected. We're seeing that, in the hospitals as more people needing to be admitted to the hospital. As of yesterday, the Mohawk Valley Health System had 31 patients in it that were in with COVID. And that's, thankfully the flu looks like it's starting to mitigate somewhat, and RSV is definitely much better than it was a month ago. But COVID, my anticipation, and again, I've got my crystal ball is cloudy, but I will tell you that, based on what we've seen over the last 3 years, over the last 3 winters, is that, right now is about I believe our peak time for COVID, because, of the people getting together over the holidays, whether it was Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever, and New Year's. And so this is right around the peak time, I would say, this week and probably early next week. And then we anticipate that there will be a decline in the number of new infections, although it's not going to go down dramatically, because we're still going to be indoors. It's still going to be cold. And what we need to do is everybody needs to be smart. If you're not feeling well, then you should get tested and you should be staying away from people. If you are feeling well and you're going to be with people that you're not normally with, then you should, I would recommend that you wear a mask, especially if you have, significant medical problems, because, this variant does transmit. And even if you've been boosted, even if you've been vaccinated and boosted or had an infection, it's quite likely that you could get infected with this as well. The good news is that the current vaccine that is out there actually does have good action against this in terms of protecting people from getting seriously ill. So, it's a time to be smart, is what I would say.
Yeah. Doc, in New York City, there are private hospitals. The nurses are going on strike. I remember we were dealing with the same threat here and the difficulties, especially post-COVID. It's funny because their complaints are the number of hours they have to work, the fact that there aren't enough nurses, the fact that in some cases they're treating patients in the emergency, in the ER area, in the hallways because they don't have enough beds. It's amazing that it sounded so similar because we've had those problems up here. Are you confident that the new hospital will take care of these issues for us up here at MVHS?
So the main issue which healthcare in the United States is facing is a staffing issue. Okay, so it's not the number of beds that we have. We have. First of all, in answer to your question, the new hospital is going to have enough beds for us to take care of the population that we see, and even it will have expansion relative to what we have now. The issue is, do we have the people? Do we have the nurses or the respiratory therapists, or even the EVS workers to be able to manage the population and to take care of the population? And that's a struggle. It's a struggle in New York City. It's a struggle in Utica. It's a struggle across the country. And honestly, from some of my friends that have worked in other countries, it's a struggle across the world. I think it may be slightly more acute here than it is in other countries, but it is real everywhere. So what I would say is that from a new hospital standpoint, yes, there is enough space. We are working with other local areas and local other entities to see what we can do to really stimulate increasing our workforce. And that's not something that is a snap of the fingers and it's done. It's going to take time. But I absolutely get where people are coming from in terms of, yes, there are fewer people to do the same or sometimes even more work, and that is a struggle.
I recall the argument back during it seems like so long ago, although the sign still exists on Oriskany Street in Utica, no hospital downtown. It's easy to kind of forget about it, but that was such a huge part of ingrained in us during the days of trying to get this hospital built. And it's amazing that here in 2023, we're nearing the point where this hospital is going to open. Wow. But one of the criticisms back then was consistently, you will not get new doctors, you will not get new staff, you will not get better talent, you will not because of this hospital. That just won't happen. Do you still disagree with that statement?
Oh, emphatically, yeah. I mean, I will tell you, one of my roles here is actually recruitment, and the new hospital is a phenomenal draw for when I talk to doctors and to nurse practitioners and physicians assistants about coming to work in Utica and for the Mohawk Valley Health System. It is, there is real excitement that is palpable when we start talking about that. The other thing is, the other thing that we have done in the Mohawk Valley Health System is we have we have developed additional training programs. So we're becoming much more of a teaching institution than we have been. We currently have traditionally had one family medicine residency. So residency, for people that don't know, is the training after you graduate from medical school that guides you into a specialty. And we've had a family medicine residency here for 40 plus years. We now have a general surgery residency. We now have a psychiatry residency. We are waiting to hear whether we will have an OBGYN residency. And we have what's called a transitional year residency, which is the first year out of medical school and moving into other specialties. We have that's been approved and will start this year. So, we are building and growing our own doctors as well. In addition, we have significantly increased the number of medical students that we have being taught through the Mohawk Valley Health System with an affiliation with the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. We traditionally have had about 8 or 10 third-year medical students through the University of New England College of Medicine. We now have about 28 or 30 third-year students from Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, and next year we're going to have the same number, not only of third year, but also a fourth year. So there are a number of learners that are going to be here, and these are people that are going to be exposed to not only to the Mohawk Valley Health System and to healthcare within the Mohawk Valley and within Utica, but also to the culture of what this city is and what this summer region is, and that will be a huge draw as well. So the argument that that we will not be able to recruit doctors and nurse practitioners, assistants to be able to take care of this community is, in fact, not accurate.
All right. Good stuff, Doc. We appreciate the insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Please have a good day, and please be safe.
All right. You do the same. Dr. Kent Hall from MVHS. Coming up here, Davey, you've confirmed this. This is correct?
Yeah, he's from a reliable source. That's a good friend of yours. He said.
Yes, I know. I know this would be reliable. So we'll tell you that we had some sad news here today, and I was just asking this question the other day. We have not heard from. It's really weird when you think about it. What our job is we come in, and for 3 hours every day we talk, and we take phone calls, and we have our regular people that call in, and it's really something. But all of a sudden you're like, what happened? I haven't heard from so and so. And that specifically stood out to us at Christmas time because Tom from Little Falls would always, Tom Malley, by the way, is Tom from Little Falls, would always show up at our Christmas show and hang out all morning long and enjoy the food. And we'd send food home with him. And Tom would just love to be a part of it, as he's been really a part of radio for many, many years. We received word here this morning that Tom from Little Falls, Tom Malley, has passed away. He passed away earlier this morning, which is very sad. I have to tell you that I started working. Tom would always come on the air to remind me, you were my intern. Well, it wasn't quite true exactly, but it was close to that. But I do remember that the first time I ever worked a high school football game, I did it with Tom Malley, and we were working at WLFH in Little Falls. And Tom, we were sitting in the bleachers at a Little Falls football game, high school football game, and we're up in the bleachers, and it was exciting. I'm a part of my first ever high school football broadcast. And I looked over, and Tom had a little dinky Shure microphone, and around his neck was, because the station, listen, budgets back then were tough. So Tom, being using his own ingenuity, took a coat hanger and bent it around, and it went around his neck, and then bent it down, and this clearly was a coat hanger. And that held the microphone, so Tom had he had his headphones, but he didn't have to hold the microphone. because the station didn't have a headset for him. That was my first introduction to Tom Malley. Yeah.
And then you guys, did that game together, and did that continue for a while, or?
I was shortly hired after that to do sports. So
gotcha. So, yeah, Tom, as many of our listeners would know, made a lot of great points. Would bring up a lot of factual issues when we were on the air. He would call. He wanted to make a point about this or that, and very intelligent guy, and that's sad. Sad.
Very sad. And he worked with us doing things over the years. I had brought him in to do different things over the years, several different times. And then here just became a contributor. But always said to me, I think he would call me every week to say, if you've got any voiceover work for me, anything like that, you let me know. I would be glad to do it. He just loved radio and loved working in radio. And I do miss his back and forth. I do miss busting his chops when I would say, on the line right now is Tom from Herkimer. And he said, no, it's Tom from Little Falls. Tom Malley has passed away. Tom from Little Falls. All right. Let me bring Andrew in, who worked with Tom and dealt with Tom a lot. Andrew, very sad this morning, right?
I'm driving in my car to my first appointment, and I heard that, and that's really terrible news. I mean, he was an institution, you know, as you used to say, the Andrew Show. He was a regular on that as well.
Yes, he
you know, in the times that we.
Yeah. So what Andrew means by that is Andrew would answer the phones. Now there's the Davey Show. They conduct their own programs in the booth. It's like, no, I don't want to go on the air. Let me just tell you what I think.
35 minutes later.
And you got a lot of that, Andrew.
Yeah. Even when I really didn't have the time, but you know, to both of your points, I mean, you know, he was really a good sport anytime we would bust his chops. But you know, you could always rely on him for local Little Falls history, anything with regard to the Irish heritage,
Irish fests and everything. Yeah.
And he had a lot of acting roles around town. He was a very passionate guy about everything he did.
I forgot about that.
Hear the news.
He was in any of these. There were like 3 or 4 local movies that were actually filmed here, and Tom played a role in every one of those movies. He would always call us and say, "When is the tryout? When are they doing the audition?" So, well, very sad.
I think Buckley ended up being his agent.
I think he did.
For a period of time.
He did. The two of them, Tom had somehow gotten Paul Buckley's phone number, and he always wanted an acting gig. So, Andrew, very sad.
Well, it is, and I just wanted to call and share my thoughts on Tom. What an awesome guy he was. He loved the show, and he was really, truly a great listener and a great contributor to the show.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Well, I'm not sure that he loved the show as much as he loved being on the show.
That's an excellent point.
Okay, thank you.
Very good point.
All right, Andrew, thank
All
you,
right,
man. Have a great day. Very sad. Julie says, sad news. I really like Tom. Got a break. Let's do our free money question of the day, and then we'll talk to the DA. It's from the Habaika Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Habaika. Chance for you to win $100 in cash. And Davey, this morning, we're going deep into the pocket, looking for caller number 6. Caller number 6 right now. 315-736-0186. Sixth caller through the lines gets a chance at winning cash from WIBX.
How do you sum up 70 years in 30 seconds? The Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida Counties has helped nonprofit groups put more than $110 million donor dollars to work over the last 7 decades. Programs, services, people, places, progress. Our 30 seconds are about up, but we're just getting started. Learn more at foundationhoc.org and help us work toward a vibrant region with opportunity for all.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is everyday.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Have you ever wanted to learn how to make jewelry? How to design animations or create pottery? Munson Williams in downtown Utica offers courses for artists of all ages, interests, and abilities. There are also art appreciation classes for those more interested in learning than creating. Classes for the winter, spring semester begin in January, so register now at mwpai.org.
Did you know 1 in 4 vet visits involve skin and coat issues? And 70% of your pet's immune system is based in their gut? Dinovite nutritional supplement has key nutrients for your pet's digestive tract, skin and coat, and immune system for an all-around healthier pet. Get a free probiotics booster with your purchase of Dinovite for dogs by using code DOG at dinovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
If I could be you.
And you could be me? For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895 right now and get 50% off installations with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, 7:51, and James in Yorkville is ready to take a shot at our free money question of the day. James, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You ready to go at this thing here?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. It's worth $100 in cash from the, well, really, you get a check, but, you know. From the Hobeika Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobeika at 315-724-1600. And we have some consolation prizes for you as well here this morning if it doesn't work out. So you win for losing. I mean, it's just that type of contest. So here you go. How are you when it comes to geography?
Oh, very, very iffy.
Very iffy. Yeah, you sound like me. Okay, here's your question from the geography category. Name the second most populous island in Europe. Ready, go. The second most populous island in Europe. Yeah, you're a little iffy on geography. I'm no different, though. I'm in the same boat, I swear to God. I'm traveling to the island of Ireland. And I chose Ireland today because this would be the point where Tom Malley, Tom from Little Falls, would call in and be like, let me just tell you something about there are 7 million people that live on the entire island of Ireland. That is encompassed by the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, which makes up about 7.5 million, which is almost the population of New York City. That would be Tom, and I'd be like, okay, thanks, Tom from Herkimer. And he'd say, it's Tom from Little Falls.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to do. If you'd like to go to the Comets game tonight, I have tickets for you. Front row seats, as a matter of fact. The Comets play at home. They take on the Cleveland Monsters. In addition, I'll give you the all-in-one food and fun card. It's a $25 card. That'll get you $25 at Aquavino, Babes, 72, Taylor and the Cook, and any of the concessions at the Adirondack Bank Center, including the Nexus Center. So, James, stand by. Davey's going to hook you up.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. You have a great day. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
Quickly, Cordelia, then I want to go to the DA. Cordelia, I have like 60 seconds. Good morning.
Okay. Multitasking with today's show. They were talking about the high cost of beer and everything with all the grain and stuff, and they were sampling beers, and then Al Roker goes to give the weather report, and he says, I'll take a good Utica club any day.
That is awesome.
Cool.
Al Roker's back, as a matter of fact. He's been sick, mentioning Utica Club. Pretty cool. Okay, Cordelia, thank you for that update.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
All right. Here's another one who'll take a Utica Club any day. The DA, Scott McNamara, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
I don't know if that's true, but, you know, a good sub from Deansboro and a Utica Club, I mean, that just hits the spot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. At least a good sub part. I'm not a big Utica Club fan.
Okay, fair enough.
But they got Matt's back out, though.
They do, in a big can, as a matter of fact. It's pretty cool. Okay, boy, a lot has been going on, and I just wanted to start out with this arson case. So now you have somebody, and isn't this just completely an example of what's going on with the bail reform? So the person's able to be caught and alleged to have started 2 fires, and then, of course, can't keep him on bail. So then there's another one that he's been charged with. This does seem to be part of the problem, doesn't it?
Absolutely part of the problem. This is the type of case that we've been complaining about, that we feared, and now we're seeing it, and it's too bad because there's still a lot of people in the community that don't understand that they've changed the law. So that we're getting a lot of complaints, and people are like, "How come you got out the first time?" But unfortunately, if those people that are doing all the complaining would call their legislators and the governor, maybe we could get something done on this. They're calling the wrong people.
Yeah. Wasn't there the person who's been charged with arson? Mm-hmm. Wasn't he charged in a domestic case a couple of years ago, too? I found a news story out of the Syracuse Post-Standard. And if that's the case, would that have played a role in whether or not he could have been held?
I can't talk about his priors, but I can talk about in general. If somebody has 2 prior felony convictions and they get arrested for another felony, then they're held initially without bail. But in his case, that wasn't the situation, and he did not have 2 prior felony convictions when he was arrested for the first 2 fires. And because the first 2 fires, he was arrested at the same time, because they basically solved those 2 fires at the same time. So, he was arrested and charged at the same time. He was not bail eligible under the new bail reform law. And, that was something we were concerned about. I will give a little shout-out to one of my assistants in the New Hartford Police because although we feared it, they did take significant investigative steps that I can't really talk about because they're part of the new case. But they did do a lot to try to prevent him from doing anything further. Unfortunately, they couldn't stop the fire, but I do believe it had a lot to do with the fact that the building didn't burn completely to the ground because if my information is correct, the police were the people that called the fire in.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
You know, I know that this is your final year, but you might want to consider me and Manaski for your investigative unit. We immediately were like, wow, that's 2 restaurants. I wonder if they're connected. I mean, we were on this immediately, Scott.
We're sleuths.
Yeah, we were there.
Okay, send me your resume. We're always looking for help. Although,
Yes.
Bill, I think you'd be much better as an ADA.
I think so.
What are you go feeding his ego like that for?
Oh, he's not feeding my ego. He's busting my chops. Let me tell you.
No, not at all.
Here we go.
But I think you're absolutely right, Scott. You are correct. Listen, obviously, you've had quite the tenure, and this is your final year. And, you know, the last thing you want is to go out with a bang. You've seen more in your tenure than I think anybody would ever want to see. You've had some rough cases over the last few years.
We've had definitely an interesting run. I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and you kind of forget because they happen. And after 16 years, you kind of forget. But, you know, whether it was the Stephen Barnes wrongful conviction that we had to deal with or a word of life, now the building set on fire, or we've had 2 police officers killed when I've been the district attorney, and we had a third one that was the first trial of my my tenure as DA. So, and then we had a 4th police officer killed in a car accident. So, just those things stick out. But there's been so many cases. So
many cases. There's just no doubt about it. Scott, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was promising to hear the governor at least say, I acknowledge the fact that we need to make changes with the changes we made in bail reform. I mean,
I was very happy to see it. I was watching her speech yesterday online because I wanted to see if she was going to address it, and I was very pleased. And not only did she say it, she said that everyone has to agree with it, and we have to sit down and work together. So I hope she can make that work.
Yep. Scott McNamara, as always, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks Scott. DA Scott McNamara. And there we go. Okay, coming up next hour, we'll speak with Senator Griffo. Also, Mark Walczak is a state senator now. Ryan Nobles from NBC. We'll speak with him on what's happening congressionally coming up here.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica, Rome, W295DI Utica, Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
This is a Fox News alert. The U.S. is a no-fly zone. I'm Dave Anthony. All planes grounded, but not because of bad weather this time.
The FAA has ordered airlines to delay all domestic departures until at least 9 o'clock Eastern this morning as it works to restore its notice-to-air mission system following an outage. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg tweeted saying the FAA is working to resolve the issue.
Fox's Tanya J. Power. Southwest pilot Michael Santora tells Fox Business the system that's affected gives pilots key information about airports.
We get updates before we take off, and then as we approach airports, we check notims again at each airport.
Well, the White House press secretary just tweeted there's no evidence a cyber attack had caused this. House Republicans ready to investigate the classified documents found at a Washington think tank office Joe Biden used for years after he was vice president. Now president, he says he was
surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office. But I don't know what's in the documents.
The New York Post reports that Penn Biden Center think tank got millions of anonymous donations from China. GOP Congressman James Comer already probing Hunter Biden's Chinese business dealings, tells Fox.
It's almost as if there's a money trail from the Biden front door all the way to China.
Now, President Biden talked about the documents as he wrapped up a summit with the leaders of Mexico and Canada amid a record surge of migrants crossing the U.S. border illegally. They agreed on a framework to deal with it.
That framework includes some priorities for helping to manage the flow of migrants at the southern border, but it does not make solving the crisis a centerpiece. These are the key tenets of the Declaration of of North America. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, climate change and the environment, competitiveness, migration and development, health, and regional security.
Fox's Jillian Turner. This is Republican Congressman Pat Fallon introduced articles of impeachment wanting to oust the head of Homeland Security over the border surge. America's listening to Fox News.
If I could be you,
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
if you could find a way
To get inside each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Good morning. Dealing with cloudy skies and 16 degrees. WIBX news time is 8:03. This news update is brought to you by John's Mobile Home Parts and Accessories in Oriskany Falls. For all of your mobile home needs, it's worth the trip. Visit johnsmobilehomeparts.com for more information. Governor Kathy Hochul using her State of the State address to address some important issues that New Yorkers are dealing with on a daily basis. She discussed a variety of topics yesterday, including increasing public safety and dealing with the state's housing crisis. She also revealed how her administration will work to make life better for Empire State residents. The governor unveiling a plan that she believes will strengthen the state's mental health care system as well, and she pledged that the state won't raise income taxes in the coming year. One of the hot topics, of course, is bail reform. We just talked with Oneida County District Attorney Scott McNamara on that topic, and we spoke with Assemblywoman Mary Ann Buttonshaw as well. Coming up this hour, we'll talk with two Republican state senators, Senator Joe Griffo and Senator Mark Walczyk, who represents parts of Herkimer County. We'll get their reaction to her speech yesterday as well. Popular comedian Dane Cook will be performing in Central New York later this year. He's going to be bringing his brand new tour to the Turning Stone Resort and Casino. The show scheduled for Sunday, April 16th at 7 p.m. In addition to his career as a comedian, he's been in several popular movies like Good Luck Chuck and Employee of the Month. Seats for the show will go on sale this coming Friday. A warning for fans of the Buffalo Bills if you're looking to get tickets for this weekend's game. That's coming from the Better Business Bureau. They're warning about scams. The agency says scammers will be hard at work to try and take advantage of those who are looking to spend some money to go to the game at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. They're telling folks that they can avoid getting ripped off a few different ways. They include avoiding pop-up ads that offer discounted rates for tickets, since they're often a scam, and doing research on the vendor that they're looking to purchase the tickets from. Sunday's game between the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins is set for 1 p.m. You can hear that game right here on WIBX 950. Opening statements today in the trial of a Rochester man arrested after the violent protests on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol. Prosecutors say that Dominic Pizzola was one of several people who was seen smashing windows at the Capitol building with a police shield on his back on January 6th of 2021. If convicted, he could be sentenced to up to 20 years in prison. Thousands of protesters stormed the Capitol in an attempt to stop Congress from certifying President Biden's win over former President Trump. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast calling for cloudy skies and a little bit of a warm-up. We'll be back over 50 the next couple of days. However, today, cloudy and 33 degrees for your high. We do have a chance of some light snow showers tonight. We start the day with a chance of snow showers tomorrow, and that'll change over to a mix of rain and snow. Tomorrow's high 42. Similar situation Friday. Some snow shower chances early, then a rain-snow mix possible later in the day Friday, and a high of 45. Right now, mostly cloudy skies, 16 degrees. WIBX news time is 8:06. All right, to check on sports here, the Giants making a roster move, announcing they've resigned defensive tackle Vernon Butler to the practice squad. The G-Men had previously signed Butler to their practice squad in November and elevated him to the active roster in Week 13 when they played the Washington Commanders. The Jets announcing they have signed defensive lineman Tanzel Smart to a reserve contract. Smart has spent most of the past 2 seasons on the Jets practice squad as well. He appeared in 3 games during the 2022 season. Some baseball news. Shortstop Carlos Correa signs with the Minnesota Twins. The deal for 6 years, $200 million. This comes as Correa originally agreed to deals with the San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets, but both nixed due to issues from his physical results. Correa played for the Twins last year, hitting 22 home runs and driving in 64. Red Sox infielder Trevor Story will miss an indefinite amount of time after undergoing internal brace surgery on his right elbow. The team released a statement Tuesday saying Story underwent a successful procedure on the right UCL, the ulnar collateral ligament. It's the same one that he had replaced during a Tommy John surgery. Last year, the Rangers announced the outfielder Eli White underwent the procedure and would miss 6 months. What else do I have here? I apologize. The Knicks are hoping to get back to their winning ways. They'll be looking to bounce back from a recent loss against the Bucks. They'll host the Pacers coming up tonight at Madison Square Garden. The loss to the Bucks snapped the Knicks' winning streak at 4 games. The Utica Comets playing at the Adirondack Bank Center tonight. They'll take on the Cleveland Monsters. And on the Yes Network, it's the Syracuse Orange. Smitty, it's Virginia that they take on tonight? Yeah.
The Virginia Tech Hokies.
Oh, Virginia Tech. And what time does that start?
7 o'clock.
All right, thanks, buddy. It is 8:09. First news with Keeler in the morning on WIBX 950 AM and 106.9 FM. A lot more to talk about in regard to reaction from the State of the State address. What will change? And what are some thoughts from Republicans on what they would like to see changed? We'll talk with a couple of them coming up, State Senator Joe Griffo and State Senator Mark Walczyk, this hour here on Keeler.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties. We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties. FoundationHOC.org. We're your community foundation, working to build a vibrant region with opportunity for all.
Home and Hospital Medical Supply in the new Hartford Shopping Center proudly carries a wide selection of home medical equipment. Lift chairs to buy or rent, canes, crutches, walkers, powered scooters, braces, foot care products, and so much more. And if for some reason they don't carry the product you need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them at 315-724-6767. Home and Hospital Medical Supplies. We make life easier.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Don't miss this terrific deal with Half Off Thursday and SeizeTheDeal.com.
Hi, I'm Joe from 72 Tavern and Grill in Utica. 72 is located at the home of the Utica Comets, the Adirondack Bank Center. 72 has it all. Finger licking wings, juicy burgers, and of course, our specialty trash can nachos. Hurry and seize the deal before they sell out.
It's Half Off Thursday at SeizeTheDeal.com.
Did you know 1 in 4 vet visits involve skin and coat issues? And 70% of your pet's immune system is based in their gut? Dinovite nutritional supplement has key nutrients for your pet's digestive tract, skin and coat, and immune system for an all-around healthier pet. Get a free probiotics booster with your purchase of Dinovite for dogs by using code DOG at Dinovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver." Unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Have you ever wanted to learn how to make jewelry? How to design animations or create pottery? Munson Williams in downtown Utica offers courses for artists of all ages, interests, and abilities. There are also art appreciation classes for those more interested in learning than creating. Classes for the winter, spring semester begin in January, so register now at mwpai.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Did you know 1 in 4 vet visits involve skin and coat issues? And 70% of your pet's immune system is based in their gut? Dinovite nutritional supplement has key nutrients for your pet's digestive tract, skin and coat, and immune system for an all-around healthier pet. Get a free probiotics booster with your purchase of Dinovite for dogs by using code DOG at dinovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Sorry for this repetitive. It's almost like an alarm clock going off, isn't it? This would wake me up in the morning.
Not me.
No, you're right. I think you need an explosion.
Yes.
Like smoke and rumble and everything.
So, and I've said this, and I know that we've got Senator Mark Walczyk on the line. So I'll make this quick. People who know me know that like a regular alarm clock, no matter how loud it is, will not wake me up. I'm telling you, when my phone rings, not an alarm, when the phone rings, I'm telling you, I can feel it in my brain, okay? That is like the most effective way to wake me up. I don't know what it is. I have my phone alarm and my, what would you call it, my phone ring are exactly the same, but they do not have the same impact. I'm telling you, I feel it in my brain when somebody calls me. Anyway.
So you should change your alarm to have it sound like it's a call.
It's the same. No, I have them the same.
Oh, it is.
And I'm telling you, one does not. It does nothing. And then as soon as somebody calls me, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to sound like one of those weird people.
I don't have anybody in my house that has a problem waking up. I'm to the point now where I don't know if it's just age but there could be a pin drop. Could happen in the neighbor's house. And I'm like, what was that? What was that? I just heard something. It's crazy. So,
well, I strive for that, but it doesn't really work.
New York State Senator Mark Walczyk on the line right now. Mark, good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Well, good morning to you. I'm glad that everyone was woken up this morning, no matter which way. And if it was a phone call, I think there's tinfoil hats for that.
Maybe that's the answer. Maybe we need that.
I hate to say that to people because I do think that they think like, oh, yeah, you catch lightning bolts in your fingertips, don't you, too, Jeff? But I don't know. There's something about it. There's just
the way New York State is, and I heard this yesterday, that New York State's budget is more than Texas, I believe, more than Texas and Florida combined. Is that what I heard yesterday?
Texas and Florida combined, correct. And both states both have larger populations than New York.
Right. Now, I will say, though, to be fair, both states combined don't offer even a tenth of the services that New York State offers. So, I guess we could say we benefit from that. However, where I'm going with this is, isn't there a program out there like that we've spent a couple $1 million on that Jeff could reach out to and, they'd come into his bedroom and set him up with a whole infrastructure that's, it's all part of the state program. We pay for this. You might as well use it. I mean, is there nothing,
This is perhaps a great way to talk about the mental health crisis that we're having in New York State.
And I tell you, I almost feel like without it, our jails would be empty, for God's sakes.
And in a lot of instances, that's probably true. Yeah.
So, but let's talk about that. What kind of investment? Because that probably would be a pretty valid investment if we found a way to work with people to keep them out of trouble, to keep them on their meds. There is a mental health issue in New York. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And, it affects our crime rate. It affects our prison population. It affects our homelessness and a lot of the issues that you hear about on a day-to-day basis. And, while I won't give Governor Hochul kudos for everything that she said yesterday, and there's a lot of details yet to see, she made it abundantly clear that she's given some time and thought and is ready to put some finance behind a plan to address mental health in this state.
Yeah. Definitely something that I think over the last 50 or 60 years we've gone away from. In fact, we just, there were institutions, and I understand probably many of those institutions had problems. But like everything else we do in New York, instead of fixing the issue, we're just like, all right, we're just going to let everybody out and get rid of it. You're on your own. That's almost like what we did with bail reform, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the community-based care makes sense, and some of the community-based care doesn't, and it doesn't make financial sense, and it doesn't make sense for the people that it's trying to help. It's burdensome, and it doesn't work out, and that's why we see a lot of these situations. So nice to see Governor Hochul recognizing that and wanting to do something about it.
What are your concerns on the state of the state?
Well, the state of the state, another kudo, she delivered this thing in the Assembly chamber to both the Senate and the Assembly. That was the way that the state of the state was always traditionally done prior to Cuomo. And she sets the policy. It's a communication from the governor to the legislature to say, hey, here's where I think that we need to go. Here's where I think that we are today. And here's, we're at the beginning of the legislative session. So it kind of sets the tone in Albany for where the executive is on a lot of policy items. And she went right down a list. And, she'll be publishing more of those details in a larger book that we look forward to looking through. And then, as you know, before the end of the month, she's going to present her budget, where we're really going to see how serious the governor is about a lot of these agenda items.
I'd ask you a question on behalf of, I guess I'll mention my father-in-law, Rick Timms, who's a big proponent of education and works in education finance. Speaks very highly of you, by the way.
He's a good man.
Where are we when it comes to supporting education in the state?
I didn't hear it, and I watched it live. I haven't reread the transcript, but I didn't hear the governor directly address education yesterday. We're always concerned. We've been through a lot of things. We had, and the Alliance for Quality Education has done a great job in educating us on campaign finance. We've been through a lot. Our upstate schools have been through a lot. Our poor and rural school districts have been through a lot throughout the pandemic and before that. We've finally gotten into a budget rhythm in Albany where they're funding what they call the foundation aid. That's the based aid that goes to each one of your school districts, and it's based off of a calculation of income and property wealth in that area. Most agree that it still needs work, but this is one of the fairest ways to fund our schools through state aid. Our hope is that the governor will show an investment that continues to be consistent with school district needs are, so that they can continue that very important mission of educating our youth.
And this issue of it's beyond schools and beyond education, but the issue of going all electric. Well, I do believe we're going down that road, and at some point in our world, we will be most likely, whether it's our vehicles or homes, it will be fully electric. But mandating that we have to school districts have to start buying electric buses by 2027 and be complete with an entire fleet by 2035. Boy, this is really putting a stress on schools. And the other part of this is that school districts seem to be money heavy right now. There's a lot of COVID money out there. That's going to dry up very soon, and the question is going to be what happens next.
Right, and it's nice to have that term that can get you through this phase and perhaps invest in some capital projects that you've got coming up. But the long-term operational expenses of a poor and rural school district are always going to be a concern. On the electrification, the timeline that they've set forward here and the governor set forward here is a pipe dream. I can tell you, I have a school district right now that has gone out to bid on electric buses and went over to National Grid and said, hey, so we're going to need some upgrades for power for these things. And the grid said, we can't support it, not by the substation, not by the amount of power that's in your area.
Wow.
It's not going to happen.
Wow.
And so I know a lot of the high-mindedness in Albany talks about production. So they talk about how many solar panels are we going to need in New York, and how many wind turbines are we going to need, and how much hydropower are we going to have to buy from Canada in order to meet this, or how much upgrades are we going to have to do to the backbone of the system to transmit that power to New York City. They're not thinking at all about an entire grid that's been built out over decades and decades that has to get to an end user. There's a difference between thinking about the overall big picture and then how many amps your home has currently, and to say that you're not going to be able to buy a repair part for a furnace after 2030 is absolutely ridiculous and tone deaf to the very climate that we live in upstate New York.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. We're speaking with New York State Senator Mark Walczak. He is in the 49th State Senate District, which includes parts of our area, including Herkimer, Fulton, Hamilton, Jefferson, Oswego, and St. Lawrence counties. Manassas.
So let me ask you, there was a bit of a change, or at least the governor has shown that she's interested in kind of undoing some of the bail reform things that happened, whether it's electric or bail reform or mental health funding. Are you concerned that Republican ideas aren't included in the proposals, or are you getting a sense that she is open to having both sides contribute ideas here? I know that was one of the complaints, and has been for the last couple of years. When one side is in control, they can box out of that party and really not take their ideas or criticisms when they're crafting legislation.
Well, in a speech that rarely, which was the State of the State yesterday, that rarely exploded in applause, often had tepid applause. I can tell you, in a chamber filled with Democrats, 2/3 majority in both the Senate and the Assembly, there was no applause and a lot of murmuring on her thoughts on bail reform. It is very politically unpopular for her to even bring up how big of a mistake they've made here.
Wow.
And unfortunately, you would think that these people charged with, making laws in the state of New York to make this place a better and more safe to live, work, and raise a family would say, all right, well, what do we do next, or how do we tweak the policy that we put forward? And instead, I think they're politically embarrassed and continue to double down. So they ignore the facts that are right in front of their face on bail reform, and they say those are just Republican talking points, which is ridiculous that we're still there as a public policy.
Yeah.
So she was, even to mention that she was ready to make some changes to cashless bail, and acknowledging their overall goal was good, but we need to make some changes to give judges more discretion here. Even that was a bridge too far. I could already tell how it landed in the Democrat majorities in the Senate and the Assembly. So we'll see how hard she wants to bring that to the negotiation tables with her relationships with the leadership in the Senate and the Assembly.
I have a comment here from Michael. It says, we as a state and nation really need to finally start doing something regarding the homeless population. This benign neglect mentality that has been taken towards mental illness, which is the majority of the homeless in the nation, is really inhumane. Your thoughts? I think we kind of talked on that a little bit.
Yeah, Michael's spot on. We did, and I'm hopeful, as you are, that some of the mental health perspective that the governor has here is going to do some good. And I'll tell you, it sounds like both sides of the aisle are ready to get to work on that one. Everyone agrees that there's a need there. It's nice to have a governor that's going to address it.
How do these Democrats in Manhattan, for instance, not see the problems with bail reform when Manhattan, New York City, is probably at the most unsafe point it's been in many years?
It's tough for me to make too many judgments about somebody's life that I don't understand.
Yeah.
But some people in Manhattan live from Lincoln Town Car to apartment with private security, and that's how they live their life.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily live it the same way that, someone in Queens does, or someone in an upstate New York City or village does. So they don't necessarily have to live with the consequences. And I think, the legislature has shown plenty of times that they're capable of being out of touch on issues that affect everyday New Yorkers.
Senator Mark Walczyk, thank you so much for taking the time. We'll do this again.
Hey, it's a pleasure being on. You gentlemen have a wonderful day.
You do the same. Thank you.
You too.
I like him. We definitely should do that again with Mark Walczyk. Quickly, before I break, I want to take, he's been waiting for a long time. Can we get Stefan in here? Davey, should I? Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Stefan Rubitsky. Is there something wrong? Everything all right? I know you called me like 8 times yesterday, and I couldn't get to one of the calls, and I completely apologize. But, how you doing?
It's okay.
All right. What's going on, man?
Well, first of all, my condolences to Tom and the people there.
Tom would every once in a while call up and say, "Well, hello, Bill." He would kind of do a little Stefan Rubitsky there. So almost a nod to you, something to remember.
And also, I watched Governor Hochul's speech on YouTube, and I was not happy because she, not once in the speech did she mention Utica, New York.
Yeah.
She mentioned Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, but not once did she mention Utica, and she took SUNY Poly away from Utica. But this year, at the end of this year, the downtown hospital is going to open up, and the state helped us with money for that. Is she going to show up to that? I wonder.
Yeah, very good question.
You are in campaign mode, Stefan.
Yeah, you're on fire, man. Some of the messages that I got from you, Stefan, do you mind if I read a few of them?
Sure.
All right, from yesterday. So when he wasn't calling me, he was messaging me. Bill, I haven't gotten my 72 Tavern and Grill card yet. Great game for the Bills yesterday. Bill, I haven't gotten my 72 Tavern gift card yet. Bill, the governor gave her State of the State address and is focusing on mental health care. Talk about that tomorrow. I could go on, Stefan, but you
Does
were
the
on...
next one say, Bill, I haven't gotten my 72 gift card yet?
Yes, where's my 72 gift card? I believe that's in the mail. Is that right, Davey?
I guess so.
Yeah, okay. All right. And I don't think it's a 72 card you're getting. You're going to get the all-in-one food which you can use anywhere at 72 or Aquavino or Taylor and the Cook or the concession stands at the Adirondack Bank Center. So, okay. Anything else, Stefan? We appreciate your, but you are on fire today. You're calling the governor out right now.
Yes, and she needs to be called out. She's ignoring Utica.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Stefan, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
You have a great day.
Bye, Bill.
Bye now. Oh, one more question, Stefan. What did you think of the governor's speech yesterday? That's your cue, Joe.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Keeler.
I expected Joe to come in and say, well, hello, Bill.
I thought Stefan was going to announce his candidacy for state GOP chair.
I got to tell you, I think that's where he was going this morning. You're right.
There's an opening. There's an opening.
There is. All right. Well, we just spoke with Mark Walczyk, and I'm assuming you will agree with much of what he talked about. Before we get into the state issues, I know that Christmas time, whenever you were on, you often got phone calls from Tom from Little Falls. While you didn't represent him, you always took his calls and answered his questions, and as you do for anybody, Joe. And I think that's why so many people support you, because you do reach out to help, even for people who are not in your district. But Tom, by the way, has just passed away overnight, which is why I'm bringing that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
That's sad news. I know that he was active in the community, particularly in the Irish community too. I remember not only seeing him on your or hearing him on your show and seeing him at the Christmas shows, but also at various Irish events too. He was very proud of his ancestry and very engaged. I remember him marching in a St. Patrick's Day parade. So it's sad, and our condolences go out to his family. We lost another, and I know you covered this too, legendary figure Gene Romano, who was an extraordinary individual
Yeah.
in so many ways. What he did for this community, that's the kind of person also that you need to truly remember, and the accolades I know are going to continue to come in. He had a great life, and the contributions were so varied in so many aspects of our community. So good people we've lost, unfortunately.
Joe, I in reading and doing some research on Gene Romano, the amazing career and life that he had, and then to find out that he was an accomplished pianist, and as a 13-year-old was out on the streets of Utica, performing, whether it be on the street or in local establishments. As a kid, he was making $5 an hour performing. He was that good, and then what he later accomplished is just incredible.
Yeah, no, he was an amazing man, and having had the opportunity to get to know Gene, he just had some fascinating stories too. When he would talk about his upbringing and just the creative mind that he had and the energy, but most importantly is his humility. And how he truly cared not only for his family but the community as a whole. And he walked the walk. He really, demonstrated that by his contributions and both financial and his time. So just an extraordinary individual.
But I just ask you, one of the things that I also did not realize is the number of business holdings and real estate holdings that he had, not just here, but around the country and even outside the country. Of course, a resort and casino in Puerto Rico, office buildings and high-rise buildings in New York City and beyond. He still came back here to live and keep his home base here, which is big.
Absolutely. I mean, this was home, and despite his success, and as we talked about, he had a fantastic mind and great business acumen, but he cared about the community, cared about people, and was a family man. So he will be missed, not always remembered, but missed.
Okay, let's. I thought you were quite tempered yesterday in your reaction to Governor Hochul's speech. Are you hopeful that Hochul will maybe consider both sides of the aisle and consider upstate going forward?
Well, she has an opportunity now because she now begins a term in her own right. She has 4 years, so she's aside from the political pressures, even though it will be very difficult because she still has to deal with supermajorities, even though it's the same party. But there's a lot of these individuals now that are running the Assembly and the Senate that are very extreme left. And it's going to be interesting to see what and how the governor approaches this. So what I see now is she's proposed things which reflect not only positions that the GOP conference has advanced and advocated for, and I think these are common sense approaches when you consider the case that you had the DA on a while ago and talking about this one individual, the arsonist, who's out there committing the same crimes and then had to be released. It's just remarkable that there's not an acknowledgement that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And that this is contributing to many of the problems that we're experiencing in small communities across the state as well as large. So her acknowledgement, I think, was important. The question is whether she pushes, not only proposes, but pushes to get something done. And that will be determined over the course of the next 3 months.
You know, and speaking with Senator Walczak, his concern was when she brought up bail reform, was the reaction from Democrats yesterday. He said it was a rather sour reaction. They don't even want to hear her talk about it.
No, many of them believe that it needs to be given more time and they'll be proven right. I think statistics have shown that it's just not working. And and you have case after case where you can demonstrate that. And some of the approaches that we have suggested and recommended really are just pragmatic and common sense approaches, like giving judicial flexibility and discretion. So it's not even something that they should be opposed to, because it would make sense. It's common sense. But these are ideologues in so many ways. And you're seeing that right now in the fight over the chief judge. And the governor has a proposal, and they're not even allowing, before the individual has an opportunity to get a fair hearing, to determine whether or not they agree or disagree with similar with cases that he's ruled and made on. They're already prejudging him.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic. We'll see how it unfolds. I think what we have attempted to do is to not only complain about the process, but to offer constructive alternatives so that we can have an intellectual debate. And I hope in the end it's the will of the people that will be reflected. Because if the people agree with us, then they'll feel this pressure, the governor particularly, and there is some hope that we will see some change.
Joe, I want you to, if you could, before we let you go, just have you comment. I don't know what we're in the middle of right now, but there is flights in the United States have been grounded at the least until 9 a.m. this morning. I'm not sure what we're going to learn, but our air traffic computer system in the United States right now is down.
Yeah, I mean, that's concerning right now. I heard it from, I think Ryan's coming on. He might know what's going on in D.C. Don't have any information right now, but it sounds like this was a cyber attack of some type. And this is really concerning, obviously. And it shows when we rely so much on this type of technology now, what could potentially happen. So everybody, the wars are not conventional wars, even though we're seeing that right now continue to play out on the countryside of Ukraine. But you can see these other type of tactics being used right now that can be equally as damaging in so many different ways. So we need to be aware, and it'll be interesting to learn what has happened and what's going to be done. The world is turned upside down, right? We talked about this since the pandemic, because it still doesn't make sense to me that we still see supply shortages. We see shortages of medicine when it's needed. We've really got to get a handle on this to find out how this all really happened and what's going to be done to make sure it's prevented from happening ever again.
Joe,
it's unacceptable.
This medicine shortage is alarming. I was trying to get a prescription for my father the other day. Had to go all over town to find a pharmacy that actually had it in stock. And when they're out of stock, they don't know when they're going to get it. There's a shortage of everything from Adderall to antibiotics to medicines for children. We're even Tylenol and Advil for children. If you have it, hold on to it, because you can't find it anywhere right now. I don't know what's going on out there.
And that's the thing I would urge people to, not to go and start hoarding the medicine, going in and seeing something and then buying 4 bottles of it, because we need to take care of people. But we need to find out why this happened, how it happened, and to make sure it doesn't happen again. When we look at the sophisticated technology that we have in medicine in all aspects right now, there's no reason for this. And everybody's going to point the finger to the pandemic, but that's unacceptable now. We need to know what went wrong and how and why it went wrong and how we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Joe Griffo, Senator, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right. Have a great day. Can I keep going here?
Yes.
Bad? Ryan Nobles from NBC, standing by on the line right now. Ryan, good morning.
You put me in a difficult position following the senator.
You're right. I know.
His backup act, that's not a comfortable position for me because he's such a star.
I should have immediately taken a break to put something in between the two of you. For God's sakes, what was I thinking? But listen, let's start with what is going on in the airways. Are we in the midst of a cyber attack here?
It looks like we're not in the midst of a cyber attack. At least that's what the White House is saying right now. The Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has said that there is no evidence of a cyber attack at this point, but they're still investigating it. So basically, there's this system that the FAA uses called the NOTAM system, which is the Notice to Air Missions System. And it's basically kind of a very complicated computer system where all the different airports talk to each other so they know which flight is leaving and at what time. And so, it's to prevent any airline or airplane from being in the same path as another airplane. So that would be a pretty important tool to use. So the thought process here is that there's no danger in them landing. The danger would be in them taking off. They're already starting to move some traffic out of Newark and Atlanta, which are two of the biggest airports in the country. And they said the information is starting to flow again. So it looks as though they're starting to get it rectified. But, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. It's got to be one of the busiest periods of time of travel during the week. And if you can hobble the whole system for even a few minutes, it's going to cause cascading problems throughout the rest of the day.
This
So
is going to be a
huge inconvenience.
disastrous day for travel. I mean, just having this thing down, the system down for 2 or 3 hours or 1 or 2 hours is probably crippling for the rest of the day for them to catch up. Okay, wow, what a week we had last week. By the way, go Bills. And we're taking on Miami this weekend. We'll talk about that before we get done. But let's start moving. We'll go backwards. Let's start with the documents. A lot of talk here. The president saying nothing to look at here. I didn't even know they were there. The White House seems to be cooperating. Biden seems to be cooperating. That would be the difference between the way things went under President Trump at Mar-a-Lago and Joe Biden. But what's your take on the whole thing? There's a lot to talk about.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that these are two different things, and I think that Republicans are already working pretty hard to conflate the two and say that what President Biden did is the same as what President Trump did, and depending on which Republican you talk to, that either means that whatever Donald Trump's accused of should just be, just forgotten about, and we shouldn't concern ourselves with it. Or if you're some Republicans, like Elise Stefanik, who has a big swath of your listening area, saying that what Joe Biden did was actually way worse than what Donald Trump did because he was vice president and not president when he removed those documents. And, there are some Republicans that argue that the president can just blanketly decide when something is classified, not classified.
Yeah.
With all those caveats being said, that they are different and that we need to view them differently, I still think this is a pretty big problem for Joe Biden. And I don't think this is something that will easily just be brushed up underneath the rug, despite his supporters attempting to do this. I mean, it's a real issue. I mean, it is against the law for classified documents that were once in the possession of the White House and our White House documents to be removed for any reason. And if you have clearance or authority to do it, it is only for a short period of time. They cannot just end up in a folder in a file cabinet somewhere in an office that you no longer use. That's a huge national security risk, depending on what the information is.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's why you see. And then the other thing I would add about it, in terms of the issue and the questions that it raises, is that this is something that the Biden White House has known for 2 months, and they're just now getting around to being transparent about it. So I think there's going to be a lot of questions about it. I think at this point the Justice Department is acting responsibly. They've handed it off to a Trump appointee, a U.S. attorney in the Midwest, to handle the investigation, to try and remove any kind of political overtone connected to it. But this is something Joe Biden's going to have to explain, and it can't just be, I just forgot about it, and it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal, and it was a big deal when we heard about it with Donald Trump, and I think it's going to be a big deal with Joe Biden as well.
Well, the excuse that I don't know, I'm completely surprised. I don't know how they got there. That's a pretty rough excuse, considering depending on. I mean, these are documents that have to be very well taken care of. They had to come there through the vice president.
Or it raises more questions.
Right, or even raises more questions. But and then furthermore, Ryan, don't you think this is now 2 investigations into the current president and one into the current president, one into the former president? Isn't it even a bigger picture here to look at, that how are we handling as a federal government classified documents?
The answer to all those things is you're absolutely correct, Bill. And and I would just point to Joe Biden's words himself in the wake of the Donald Trump investigation, where Biden went at length talking about how these classified documents are taken care of and how when he looked at them, someone would hand them to him in a special folder and they would sit there and wait for him to finish reading them, and then he would hand them back to them and they would take them away. And he was always so careful with this classified information.
Yeah.
So he himself has been very specific about the care and attention that are paid to these documents. Now, the caveat to all of this is we don't know what these documents are. We don't know the level of classification. We don't know if they were classified at one point and then they were later declassified. A lot of times these all we know right now is that there were classified markings on them. They may have had classified markings and then at one point were declassified during the process, and that's why no one was concerned where they were.
Yeah.
But yes, I think there is going to be a lot of questions for the National Archives, who are the stewards of this information. They've come under a lot of scrutiny after everything being involved with the Trump investigation. But yes, this is a problem. And these documents, we can't just fluff it off as if it's not that big of a deal. They can sometimes reveal, intelligence that is a real threat to national security. And there are bad actors from foreign countries who are constantly in search of information like this. And it is the responsibility of those who are the stewards of this information to protect it.
You have further?
Well, I just wanted to ask one quick question for Ryan. When you mentioned the National Archives and that they are the stewards of this information, to help me understand, is it a situation where if I'm emailed a classified document or information that is, quote, classified, and then I print it off my email, does that thing that I've printed become a, quote, classified document because of the information contained on it?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the answer to that is you would not be able to email it. Stuff like that. In general, if it is on any sort of server, a computer server, it would be a server. Depending on the level of classification, I should also point out. But if it's above a level of classification where it cannot be shared widely, that would be, if it is available on a server, it's a server that's not connected to the internet. It would be an intranet that is contained within whatever agency is responsible for it. And if you are someone that doesn't work for that agency and doesn't have access to that intranet, you would have to come in and review the documents within that building and what they call a SCIF, which is a secure location. If it is a physical copy, depending on, of course, the level of classification, you would be able to either take it or bring it back or review it in a SCIF, depending on an arrangement that's worked out with whatever agency is responsible for the custody of the document. So, but the idea that you could just have it emailed to you and then you could print it out and have it in perpetuity, there's a chain of custody with all this information, depending on the level of clearance, that is supposed to be monitored by whatever agency is responsible for it.
Interesting.
Okay, very, very. It'll be interesting to see what the dates are on these documents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also what
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's some questions as to whether or not they're related to Ukraine, which obviously that's going to be incredible fodder for House Republicans because they are trying to create a narrative that somehow the Biden family was intertwined with the Ukrainian oligarchs and business dealings. So, but these are questions Biden's going to have to answer. He can't just fluff it under the rug and act like it's not that big of a deal as he's done to this point. They've got to be very clear about exactly what this is to clear up any potential for this to be taken in a way that it shouldn't be.
Speaking with Ryan Nobles from NBC, quickly, McCarthy. Oh, did I completely lose you? Oh. Don't know what happened, but that completely, and I believe at our end, everything just got shut off. So.
Well, I know what happened. The phones are fixed now.
They're
all set.
I wanted to talk Bills a little bit with him. Is that him back? No. And obviously the McCarthy issue finally got it done on Friday night. But at this point, we'll see if he's back. Let me tell you about Collis. With the drastic fluctuations in weather over the past few weeks, great time to have a heat pump system in your home. Heat pumps both heat and cool your home with the same super efficient system. If you don't already have one, you might want to check with Collis. There are rebates available from New York State to offset the installation cost, and Collis can walk you through the entire process. Fred F. Collis & Sons. Go to fredfcollis.com in Yorkville, Rome, and in Syracuse. Is that you, Ryan?
Yeah, I don't know why you hung up on me.
I don't know.
That wasn't nice.
Apparently, I'm very rude. Okay, talking about McCarthy, finally got it done late Friday.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable, 5 days covering that. I left Washington. I left the Capitol at 2:30 in the morning on Saturday. For whatever complaints or criticism you have of McCarthy, he stuck it out. He got through it. And now he's the Speaker of the House, which was his long-held ambition. I think the question will be just how long he can hold on to power and just what it's going to be like to herd the cats that are the Republicans in the House of Representatives, who have a wide range of different viewpoints on a wide range of things. He had his first real test just yesterday when they passed the rules package, which there were some moderates that were we're just going to have to see how this process goes. But, he stuck it out. And I think more than anything what it shows is that even though there were some people unhappy with Kevin McCarthy, there really wasn't an alternative. Yeah. And I think that's why they ultimately settled and decided that this is the direction that they have to go, at least in the short term.
And I get it. You're going to try to spin this. And the thought from Republicans is, this is how negotiation works. This is how the system works properly. Not really. He should have had everybody in place. He had plenty of time to have this thing buttoned up. This should have been an easy formality that was done with the negotiating done long before we got to the process last week. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, and I had a lot of people ask me, like, what do the conservatives want? Why are they continuing to hold the line here? What could possibly McCarthy give them? And my answer was, the conservatives wanted that. They wanted the drama and the hysteria, and they wanted to kind of humble him to a certain degree publicly. And this is how many of them believe the House of Floor should operate at all times, that there should be multiple votes on issues in order to get them over the finish line, and that they should be debating the merits of these things on the House floor, which kind of sounds good in a Jimmy Stewart led world, of the movies, but is not really practical to the day-to-day governance that needs to be required in the House of Representatives. And you're right, Bill. Most of this, especially something as simple as electing a speaker, should have been done long before they got to the actual floor contest. And the fact that it took 15 votes to do something like elect a Speaker of the House raises real questions about what it's going to be like when they have to do something serious like raise the debt ceiling or pass a spending bill. Things where there are serious disagreements within the conference as to how to handle that going forward. So, come March, when we start to creep up closer to that debt limit, that's where we could see another scenario like this where conservatives hold the line, but this time around it won't just be Kevin McCarthy's ego that is in trouble. It's going to be the credit rating of the United States of America, which will affect us all.
Ryan Nobles from NBC, thank you so much. Go Bills. Out of time, darn it, but what a week!
Bills.
What a week! This week's gonna be big. Gonna be big with the Dolphins. All right, Ryan. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
And we're out of here. We'll be back tonight. Believe it or not, 5 till 6 o'clock tonight for a special Go Local business program tonight at 5 p.m. on WIBX Utica, Rome.
This can take off again. I'm Dave Anthony. After a computer outage grounded flights this morning, leaving thousands of travelers stuck in airports. The FAA minutes ago just lifted an order in place for well over an hour. Now they are allowing flights to go again. It was expiring this hour.
We expect departures to take off again, but of course there have already been so many delays that it could be a while until the airlines are able to get back up and running to normal operations.
Fox Business Network's Grady Trimble at O'Hare in Chicago. President Biden just said
they don't know what the cause is.
That's hard to hear over the helicopter sound. He said they don't know what caused it, and he told Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to let him know when they do. Yesterday, the president said he was surprised. Classified documents were found at a Washington think tank office that he used after he was vice president.
I've turned over the boxes. They've turned over the boxes to the archives, and we're cooperating fully with the review.
But House Republicans are opening investigations amid a Justice Department criminal probe into classified materials the FBI seized from former President Trump's Florida resort. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy tells Fox